Hello, welcome back to the Sing Confidently Live Creatively podcast. Estelle here. How are you doing? Happy Monday. I'm recording this a little bit in advance. Today, when you're listening to this, is Cyber Monday. Happy Cyber Monday. I hope you had an amazing Thanksgiving weekend. I hope you had time with family, friends, loved ones for those who celebrate Thanksgiving. But yeah. I hopefully mine was good too. I'm assuming it was. But today we're going to jump into what is going to hopefully help you get on a very clear, straightforward path for how you can continue to grow and develop as a singer, especially if you took a break over the Thanksgiving break and you're wanting to come back to singing, you're wanting to come back to performing, auditioning, prepping for auditions, etc. If you do not have a voice practice routine at this point in your journey as a singer, hi, I'm Estelle. I'm a voice coach and I'm here to help you. Okay, so I have a very clear-cut structure for how I practice as a singer and it's the same exact process that I take my students through in every voice lesson. And it's pretty standard, but there are some little things that I want to share with you in today's episode that are going to hopefully help your voice practice become not only simple, but just fully helpful and effective for you to actually grow and be able to develop in your own personal practice as a singer, regardless of whether you're doing lessons or whether you're in a show working with the music director or anything like that. So, yeah, I'm very excited to get into this. I love talking about practice routines, and I realized that I haven't done an episode about the practice routine in a long time. And I was trying to reference it the other day and I couldn't find an episode. So, here we go. Before I jump into that, because it is Cyber Monday, I'm doing a flash sale for today only. When you're listening to this, it's going to be December 1st. So with the code cyber, you can get 20% off any lesson. It can be the 1 hour lesson and the 30-minute lesson as well. So you can go to my website, creativelybyestelle.com/studio. And for today only, if you're listening, I'll also send this out to you if you're on my email list, but you can go to creativelybyestelle.com/studio and put in the code CYBER, all caps, CYBER, cyber, and you will get 20% off of your lesson, which is great. So that's if you are ready to continue or for the first time, really focus on developing as a singer with a coach who has done it with several students before, knows how to help you really build that confidence in your specific unique voice that you have. I would love to work with you. Again, creativelybyestelle.com/studio. Okay, so let's jump into what this practice routine is going to look like. I think people are calling it lock-in. What are people saying? The great lock-in or something like that? Because it's the end of the year, right? You're gonna lock in. This is how you're gonna do it as a singer. If you don't have a specific structure for how you're practicing and how you're growing as a singer, it's going to be really hard for you to see yourself developing over time. And so this is a structure that I actually learned when I was doing my certificate in voice technique and musicianship at Berkeley. They like broke down this whole structure. And I realized that I'd been kind of doing it with voice teachers before, but then I started really focusing on doing it myself. And now I carry this on and I do it with my students. And I've made my own little tweaks. I've added like personalizations that I'll tell you about as well. And you can make the tweaks that you need to make as well. It's not like you have to do this exactly as is, but it's pretty straightforward and makes it very simple. And I think it's really effective. So the first thing you want to start with, absolutely, without a doubt, is always going to be a warm up. This is pretty standard. So the general warm up that I do is it includes starts with physical movement. So usually like shoulder stretches and neck stretches, and maybe some tongue stretches or jaw stretches, depend or massage depending on the student. I have some students who really struggle with jaw like tension, and so I just have that in their notes that we're gonna do some jaw massaging or like some stretches at the beginning. Also, like I've had students who struggle with tongue tension, so like starting with a tongue stretch was crucial for at the very beginning. So it depends on the student and it depends on you. If you don't really have issues with like opening your jaw, but you're more so like you tend to hold a lot of tension in your shoulders, like I do, then you might want to maybe get an extra stretch in your shoulders because there are muscles that are that are what's it called? Attached to your hyoid bone, which is where your larynx is, and that also attached to muscles in your shoulder. So you gotta like all of that is connected. So getting that at the very beginning of your voice practice routine is essential. Okay. So from there, from that part of the physical movement part, from there you can go into just doing some general like vocalization, warm ups, lip trills, hums, that kind of thing. If you want to just like gently ease your voice into singing and to just get some blood flow going, especially if you're like, if this is the beginning of your day kind of thing. So that's what you would do in your general warm up, if that makes sense. And you guys, I have so many warm up episodes for you guys. How can I can't even list them all. But more recently, I have episode 284, vocal warm up of the day, sing along, episode 282, a 5-minute vocal warm up for musical theater performers, episode 280, a gentle vocal warm up for singers with vocal fatigue. If your voice is feeling tired, like mine was this morning, and I didn't even do a warm up, I just did some vocal misting and like nebulize, use the nebulizer. So, your warm-up is going to look different every single day. Those are a few different options that I have that I've recorded for you guys already. But just know that your warm-up is going to look different every single day. And you might not do a warm-up every single day. You might not do your voice practice routine at all every single day. You don't need to necessarily, depending on what you're prepping for or whether you're in a show or whatever. But you don't really need to. However, it is good to have at least some sort of consistent structure. Okay, so number one is the warm up. Number two goes hand in hand with the warm up, and I tend to group them together, but they're still technically two separate things. So the second thing is going to be your technique warm up. So your technique exercises. These are specific exercises that are typically geared towards whatever you're working on for that day. So you should already have like in mind a goal of what am I going to work on today in my voice practice. Um, and I ask my students that from the very beginning of every lesson, like, what's our goal for today? What do you want to work on today? Or if they don't know, then I'll share my ideas and we'll collaborate and come up with a goal at the beginning because it just makes it more strategic. So we're, not wasting time. We want to make sure we're making the most of our practice time. Um, so technique exercises, right? That's why those specific warm-up episodes that I shared with you, they have different titles because they're specific things that I choose for a musical theater song that we're working on versus, oh, this student is experiencing some vocal fatigue and they're tired or they're sick. We're gonna do different exercises just to kind of help their voice get ready to sing. Versus, oops, sorry guys. I'm gonna leave that in. All right, so versus, sorry guys. So versus a student who is working on a pop song with a lot of riffs, right? We're gonna do some more flexibility exercises for that kind of thing. So those are specific technique exercises that you can, that's like the second point or second part of the routine is where you're going to do those specific exercises. So if you're working on a song that's a big belting musical theater song, you're going to want to do some exercises that are helping you to connect your chest voice and your head voice, to work on your mix that are helping you with bringing a little bit more of the chest voice or more of a chest dominant mix, helping you work on your vowel modification for that versus if you're working on a song that maybe is more golden age musical theater and maybe you need more of a classical configuration, kind of, you need to work on more singing in your head voice, a little lighter tone and stuff like that. So technique exercises. Okay. Again, all of my episodes, pretty much all my warm-up episodes are coupling the general warm-up and even physical movement. I describe that in the episodes as well, coupling that with technique exercises. So just go listen to them and sing along with them, and you'll be good to go. All right. Number three is the song practice. Yay, this is when you get to actually sing the song that you want to work on. This is when you get to perform it for yourself. And in this section, there are a few things that I've talked about before that I really want to emphasize here. One being, this is where you are practicing, really learning to listen to yourself as a singer because you're doing your voice practice by yourself, right? You're not, I mean, typically, right? Because you're not in a lesson. This isn't like the structure of a lesson per se, although it's generally what I follow as well in my lessons. But this is you by yourself. So this is your opportunity to really listen to your voice, notice the things that you love, notice the things that you want to adjust. So those are the two questions that I tell my students to ask themselves and that I ask myself as well every single time I sing, every single time the students sing. So generally. So you go ahead and you've done your exercises, you've done your warm up. Now you're working on your song. Yay. Okay. So you're going to sing. And then after you finish singing, you're going to ask yourself, okay, what's one thing that I did really well? What's one thing that felt good in my voice? What's one thing that was really working? Okay. That's helping you to develop a love for your voice and appreciation for your voice, right? So that way we're not going straight to like, oh, this is what I hated. I need to do this. I need to do this. That was awful. Da 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 da. Right? We're really good at doing that, but we need to take a step back and first think about, okay, what went well? Because we actually want to make sure that we are we're noticing the good habits so that way we can continue to grow them versus if we ignore them, we don't actually notice what we did well and what we need to keep on doing well and what we need to keep on reinforcing, right? So we need to reinforce the good habits. So make sure that you note what you did well, and then you need to note what's one thing, say it with me, one thing that I need to do to adjust. What's one thing that wasn't working, that didn't feel good in my voice, that I need to adjust, that I need to fix, right? I say one thing at a time just so that you can focus on one thing at a time, right? So, especially in lessons, we don't want to overwhelm ourselves too much. Otherwise, we could pick out a lot of different things at a time, but that's a bit overwhelming. So, focus on one thing. And then, after you know what that one thing is that you want to adjust, now you can go ahead and try again. Try the song again. This is when you can utilize some things that I've talked about, like recording yourself and listening back, recording either audio or video and watching yourself back whichever one you prefer. But do it. That's such an important way to help you get used to listening to yourself and watching yourself back. And it boosts your confidence when you are able to like hear that, oh, I thought that I did that horribly, but when I watched it back or I listened back, it actually sounded okay, right? And then you also are able to hear things that maybe you missed that you didn't notice. You can also, a couple other tips for song practice is that you can try singing in front of the mirror so that you can see your posture. You can check for any tension that you don't even notice that you're having, but you can actually see it in your body, even if you're not necessarily feeling it as much, right? So that's singing in front of the mirror or recording yourself, again, in a video of yourself is helpful for that. And then the song practice is also the time where, especially if you're struggling, like if you're vocally tired or fatigued, this is a great time to maybe sing less and instead focus on digging into the lyrics. Like, what are the lyrics saying? What is the context of this song if you're doing a musical theater piece? But even if you're not, even if it's a pop or R&B or soul or gospel song, like, what are the songs saying? And how can I connect the lyrics of the song with the emotions of the song, with the way that I'm singing the song? So if the song is saying that something about like being free and I'm holding out that note free and it's like a big climactic moment in the song, how can I, convey that with my voice, with the volume, with the dynamics, with the texture, with the tone. So those are things that you can also play around with without having to necessarily sing the entire time. So yeah, that is number three. That is the song practice section. And then number four in the voice practice routine is the cool down slash recovery as needed. And I say this because I really do it as needed personally. I do that like for students, we usually don't really have time for a cool down, if I'm being honest. We just like after we've done the song practice, it's time to be like, okay, what are we doing for homework? What are you working on? What's one thing you're going to focus on this week? And unless I really am noticing that they're fatigued and we really need to do a cool down together. Otherwise, you can do it when you get off the call, but when you get off the or when you finish the lesson. But yeah, for me personally, I don't cool down as much as I should. I really need to do it more. I've been trying to incorporate it more, but I'm having a hard time. That's why I needed to do some vocal recovery this morning and not actually do a whole practice. But yeah. So that cool down, it can really be the exact same things that you would have done for your general warm up at the beginning, where you were just doing some like lip trills, some gentle vocalizations, ooh, sliding down your range. That can be a great way. I especially encourage like trying to get connected back to your chest voice because that's where you typically speak. So wanting to slide from ooh, you hear the break in my voice because I didn't warm up today. Yeah. Ooh, wanting to get back down to your chest voice, get grounded down there can be really helpful, especially if you've been singing a lot of high notes. You've been singing up in your upper part of your range. So yeah, the cool down can be really helpful for that. Other parts of recovery can be again stretching, um, drinking water, definitely drinking water, misting or nebulizing as needed. So those are the 4 steps of the voice practice routine. It's simple when you just take it with like don't worry about okay, do I need to watch this singer first? Okay, how many warm-ups do I need to do? How many exercises do I need to do? How many minutes does this have to be? This has to be as much time as you have, really, to start with. If you're just starting your routine and you don't know how much time should I set aside, set aside as much time as you are able to do feasibly on a consistent basis. So if you really cannot do, first of all, don't jump into like an hour at a time every day, right? Build up. If you really can't do 5 minutes, if you really can only do 5 minutes a day, do 5 minutes a day. Do one quick warm up at the beginning, one technique exercise, sing your song, and that's it. Cool down. That's it. That's it. That's all you could do. That's okay, right? Um, if you can do 10 minutes every other day, that's great, right? If you can only do it twice a week, 30 minutes each, that's great. You can stretch out your technique time to include a few more technique exercises so that you can really be building your technique gradually. So those are just some extra tips when it comes to time management, but it's up to you. That's why this is simple. You can spread it out more if you want to add more. You need more physical movement at the beginning because you're feeling really tight and tense. Great. You can do a little bit more there and maybe just add in one technique exercise and or maybe just sing your song 1 or 2 times, right? So you can it's flexible enough that you can move things around as you need to, but that's the general structure. Number one, start with your warm up. That includes a general physical warm up and just gentle vocalization. Number two, specific vocal technique exercises. Number three, practice your song. This is a time where you can make adjustments. You can practice listening to yourself. You can record and listen back to yourself. Okay, this is how you can make your practice time effective using these tools. Okay, and then number four is your cool down and recovery as needed. So those are the 4 steps for my simple voice practice routine. You can do this at home. You don't need to do this with a voice teacher. However, if you do want to make sure that you are doing this in a way that's really supportive of your voice and your goals as a singer and a performer, I would love to work with you. You can go to creativelybyestelle.com/studio if you want to grab a lesson. Again, you can use the code CYBER for today only, December 1st, when you're listening to this, and get 20% off. Otherwise, go ahead and book that lesson. I'd love to hang out with you, love to help you with this, love to help you on your journey as a performer, singer. Um, I know you can do this. I'm right here with you, cheering you on, supporting you along the way. And yeah, I'm so excited that you're here, so excited that you're listening to this. I really hope this helps you and that you're able to apply this and start it literally today if you haven't been using this structure. I hope it really helps you and gives you that kind of something to ground you when it comes to your singing practice. So, again, creativelybyestelle.com/studio if you want to do a lesson, but you can also hang out with me on Instagram at creatively by Estelle if you want to let me know how this episode helped you. I'd love to chat with you more over there. Thank you so, so much. Have an amazing day, and I'll talk to you later. Thank you so, so much for listening to today's episode and to this show. I'm so in awe of you for being here and showing up for your creative gifts. That takes courage. Don't forget to join the performing arts community on Facebook for support and inspiration as you continue on your journey. If this episode helped or inspired you in any way, please leave a review on Apple Podcasts and share it with someone. It means so, so much. Thank you again, and don't forget to keep singing, acting, dancing, performing, and living creatively. Talk to you next time.